Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We were gone for a minute, but now we're right back in it. We're going to be taking a look at not just the, watching people from college football and seeing how they're going to go to the draft, but we're going to go to one of my favorite games as a series, which was NCAA, now known as EA Sports College Football. And I'm just so hyped for this, guys. So if you guys are as well, let me know down below. And we're going to be going over all the articles so far that EA has came out with and everybody else, that we can learn everything about the game so we can be as prepared to know what's going on with the game here. I'm so excited. This is a game I used to be playing like crazy. It was even a game I would dabble in sometimes, like when I just go back like, let me get that college football experience again, because it's just like nothing else. Like Madden just doesn't even touch the way the NCAA was. Like, I don't know if you guys were able to actually play the game back whenever Madden and NCAA were coming out every year, but NCAA just had this feeling to it that just was so amazing, so fun. It was always just a better gameplay experience, even though it's on the same engine like it is now. But it just for some reason, it was just always just felt so much more fun to play. And finally it's back, and it's even got the names of the players and everything now, so it's even better. But let's jump right into it. So for the basics, you're going to be able to go 30 years deep into each dynasty like the old games. You will now have the ability to have 32 user controlled teams, which is awesome. That's amazing. And it's both in offline and online dynasties, so that's super awesome. The online dynasty mode will not be available for crossplay, unfortunately. Hopefully this is something that later on in the game's cycle can come out, but I'm probably guessing it's probably gonna come out next year is what I'm thinking. But hopefully they can pop out an update and we can be able to play with our buddies on different consoles. It sucks having to just only do it with the ones with the same console as you, but hey, like I said, we're holding out hope still. They're already busting out all this content already. Like, I'm plenty happy. I'll take it as a feature for next year if that's what you have to do. But they also brought back the ability to start your career as an offense or defensive coordinator as well as a head coach. That's awesome. That makes me so excited, because in Madden, I'm someone who loves to play one side of the ball and focus in that one particular area, whether it's defense or offense. And to me, that's where I get the most fun out of it. I'm able to play more games. I'm able to use my time more effectively. And to me, it's just more fun that way, just focusing on one area and having the computer be my kind of like, hey, I hope my defense holds up, because like I'm doing my best I can. Or if it's the opposite, like if I'm holding it down on defense and I'm like, all right, offense, come through this time. Don't let me do this for nothing. Instead of like whenever I'm on the sticks and I'm just blowing people out. That's just me. But the ability to have that option now is just amazing. I'm so excited. So that's just music to my ears, being able to read that. So they say the word they really harped on with Dynasty was the making of the sandbox, where gamers have the chance to make it of what they want. They seem to be delivering on that promise just about every level. Custom conferences. This is something that, man, is like, Madden, let us do it. Like, come on, NFL, why are you always so stingy? Like, they don't really let us have no kind of fun. Like 2K, how you can customize your conferences and everything like that. Just like in the old NCAAs, how you can do that as well. You can do that here. And which is awesome, because one, you can see all these teams right now in college are just jumping back and forth. And like, they're moving from different conferences. And here, you can either be realistic and move it whenever it happens, so you don't have to wait for the next game for that to actually be taking into account. Or if you want to play as a school like, Notre Dame, who's an independent, and you want to jump into like the Big Ten or whatever, the SEC, and be able to play against those kind of talent more often, you could totally do that. And that's so awesome. So that's amazing. But let's read what they have to say here. Custom conferences are back with more depth than ever before. Not only can you move teams around, but you can change conference rules, which is awesome, and create custom protected opponents. That means if you want the SEC to go 9 conference games each season, with the conference championship game being played at the top ranked team's home stadium rather than a neutral site, you can do that, which is awesome. I think that's what I'll do, just so that the team who actually had the best record can get like a incentive for it, I think that's awesome. Or you can do the neutral, like how it is. So that's awesome itself. Custom schedules, once again, why don't we have this in Madden? This is what I'm talking about. Why NCAA is just better. Like, you just have so much more things that you can change and just make it more personalized to how you want to actually play. And if you want to have the schedule where you play all ranked teams, so you're a team and you're playing all ranked teams, so then the way it weighs out on your schedule and in the ranking, because you beat more ranked teams, you can be higher up compared to if you play all bad teams, and you might be undefeated, but you won't be as high in the rankings because you didn't really play nobody. Or if that's how you want to do it, you can do it. That's what the beauty is of being able to do whatever you want with it. So that's what's awesome. But let's read what they have to say here. Once again, sorry for my reading. I know I ain't the best, but hey, bear with me. You guys can read it on the screen just like I can. So if you read it better, hey, thank you. But anyways, custom schedules are also back, but your conference games are still locked on your schedule each year. You cannot move them around. So the conference games are something that's locked in. You can't change those. But the other games, like they said, like before, if you have 9 conference games, and you can change the other ones, which is why it could be nice to move into a different, like from independent to SEC, so that those conference games that you're playing are actually against some of the higher top talent, or same with the Big Ten, or however you want to, move it around. But your conference games are still locked in on your schedule each year. You cannot move them around. The reasoning is because the game uses actual schedule rotations provided by the, conferences going into the future. And their goal is to provide an authentic experience as possible. They also went deeper to ensure annual matchups fall on the correct date, so rivalries are going to be playing on the week that they're played each year in real life, which is awesome. Definitely just want as much of the actual college experience as you can get, which is what you're getting here. The schedules will also feature every non-conference game already agreed to, which means those games we laugh about being scheduled in 2032 will be in the game when you get to that point in your dynasty. So that's awesome. All right, sorry about that. I had to take a pause there. But anyways, like we were saying, the scheduled games in 2032 will be in the game when you get to that point in your dynasty, which is just awesome. Really shows the work that they put in here. But week 0 is also in the game, but they do not have licensing for the stadium in Dublin, Ireland, so games scheduled there will be at a different neutral site location in the game. Kickoff games are a part of the game, and are licensed, I should say, but will be scheduled by the computer, so you cannot put UMass and Duke's Mayo kickoff games, sadly, unfortunately. But the team builder now, jumping into the team builder, you will be able to import teams you create from the Team Builder website into Dynasty modes and play as the school you created, which is awesome. This is the kind of customization that we have been waiting for. Thank you, guys. Like, come on, this is just so exciting. You can design uniforms, helmets, and fields to import into the game, and you'll be able to download created schools made by others if you want a custom option, but aren't big into graphic design. Full details on Team Builder will be arriving later this summer. Something that I'm curious about is, like, if you're able to customize the players that are on that team, because there could be a loophole with that if you could, because you could create the exact, like, let's say for example Alabama, you can create that Alabama team exactly how they are in the game, all the uniforms or whatever, but then have the updated team in 4 years or whatever, the next year, whenever those players aren't actually in the game, but with the updated roster that you can download as a team and replace Alabama, if that's an option. I don't know if that's an option. That could be a loophole, but hey, I don't know if you can customize the players or anything like that, but hey, that's just something I was thinking, and that would be an interesting one if that's the case. Coaching, skill trees, and archetypes. When building your coach, you will select one of 3 archetypes: motivator, recruiter, or tactician. Each of those will come with different strengths and weaknesses within the 11 skill trees each coach will gain attributes in. You will not be able to max out all of your skill trees in this version of the game, as it's a departure from NCAA 14, where you would max out your recruiting and then go max out your game management skills. Instead, you'll have to figure out which is most important to you and build your coach accordingly. Getting boosts in some areas but having weaknesses in others are the goal of the game at every level, and to make sure that the decisions you make throughout the game matter and have a lasting impact. So, like, let's say for example you have a head coach that is more offensively focused, that's whenever it's like, hey, let's get a defensive coordinator that really fills in those holes that I'm missing with. Or if you want to go all out with the offensive coordinator lining in the same strengths as you, where you just go all out with that kind of thing. I think that's what they're trying to say here. Coaching carousel and staff hiring and firing. The coaching carousel is back, and you'll get offers based on your reputation and performance as both a coordinator and a head coach. I'm so glad this is back, because this is something that I was so excited for whenever they were saying that coaching carousel was coming to Madden, and then you just find out, it's like, oh, I'm glad we got this, because it's like, yay, people can get hired as head coaches from my team or whatever, but it's not even the same as it was in NCAA 14. It's just like, I'm glad it's there, but like, this is the best y'all can do. But hey, it's back, and from what it sounds like it's gonna be exactly how we wanted it. But a new wrinkle that many fans have wanted, the ability to hire and fire members of your staff. Your coordinators will also have skill trees, which means you can choose to have coordinators that fill in gaps in your skill tree as a head coach, giving you balance, but not the big boosts. Or you can hire like-minded coaches that will unlock the highest level boosts in those areas, like I was saying. You will also have the ability to fire members of your staff and go into the coaching carousel and either try to poach coaches from other schools or hire from a pool of free agent coaches, which is awesome. Could you imagine just stealing coaches? Like, oh, that'll just feel so good to just be able to just poach people like that, and that's just awesome. However, each coach will have a talent tree of players which you will be able to look at that are attached to them from either the recruiting process or playing for them. As such, if you fire a guy, just like in real life, you'll probably lose some of the players to the transfer portal, which is awesome. It's not just like a random feature that just kind of shows, like in Madden, like, oh, you lost this guy, when it's actually just like in real life in college. Like if you lose a coach, like players might follow them, like a Caleb Williams followed his coach. Like that's a thing, and it's gonna be in the game. So hey, finally EA Sports is like, hey, it's in the game. If it's in the game, it's in the game. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. And recruiting and the transfer portal. So this is going to go into the details of that. So for the basics, each year will feature 4,000 prospects with 32 earning 5-star status. Pitch grades also return with 14 in total, including proximity to home, playing time, sending players to the NFL, and brand exposure. And many recruits will have deal breakers where they will not consider you at all if you do not meet those required grades. So like, let's say for example, a player's like, yo, I gotta play close to Indiana. If a guy was saying that, I haven't heard that one before. Let's say it's true. Then if you are like Cal and you're sending this guy a request, he's gonna be like, nah, I don't want none of that. I'm trying to stay close to home. And it doesn't matter if you guys won the championship 4 times in a row. It doesn't matter. What's most important to this guy is being close to home. So he's not going to take that into consideration, which is a real thing. I knew a guy who was like #1 in the country as a kicker, and he had a scholarship to Alabama, but denied it because he wanted to stay close to home, and he went to ASU. And like, so it's a real thing. That is something that college players actually consider. So that's awesome that that's in the game, and it's just something that just adds another level to the game. So as it's saying here, athletes are back, and you can play as 2 or 3 positions, and it'll let you know what your team needs and positional needs are in the recruiting screen, as well as which players are at risk of transferring. The transfer portal is also a big part of the same screen, but won't be open until the off season. The recruiting process is, and as they worded, a combination of some of their greatest hits, as they felt they rolled back too far with the points-based system. Simply, they thought they'd fix that next year and then had to wait 11 years for the chance, like they're saying here. So for the recruiting process, there is a good bit more detail in recruiting compared to 14, as you'll assign hours to recruits in the off season. Your recruiting hours and transfer portal hours will be on the same, once again, forcing you to make decisions on where to focus your efforts. You'll need to be cognizant of the level or of leaving roster spots open for portal guys. The early signing period also makes its debut in the game, with the portal opening after early signing day. The recruiting process will happen in stages, as will scouting. Gone is the ability to full scout a guy in 1 week, where you just put all your scouting points on this one specific guy just to find everything out about him, because that's not realistic. You're not gonna be able to do that in real life, as you won't be able to get a guy's skill tree until you bring them on to an official visit, and you can actually take a look at them like that. You will have to stay above the cut line throughout the process, going from a recruit, locking in as top 10 to top 8, top 5 to top 3. You'll divide your allotment of recruiting hours across your recruiting board. The hours we saw on the screen were 55, but I don't have it confirmed. If your recruiting hours to spend are dependent on your staff's skill trees or not. They're not sure right now. Players will again have things that are important to them with the 14 pitch grades, and those will impact how interested they are in your school. There will be no longer a way to manipulate the recruiting logic to pull guys in that weren't even interested in you by throwing all your points at them. If they value proximity to home most and live in like California, even if you're Georgia Bulldogs and are #1 in the nation, they will not be interested, just like I was saying earlier. Within that, it will be much harder to rapidly build a smaller program into a national contender. No longer will you be able to spend 1 year with a small school and be able to bring in 4 stars and 5 stars like in 2014. That's just something I used to do all the time. Those top recruits will not consider your school and will have you locked out with deal breakers early on. Instead, you're going to have to truly build up the program over years, building up those pitch grades and being able to land top tier talent both in the portal and recruiting years down the line. So that's awesome, being able to actually not be able to cheese the system and just like 1 year is going to be able to be like, all right, now sweet, you're just as good as Alabama. But it's actually something that you're going to have to put in the work for, and it's really going to feel like it's a reward when you actually do build it up to the top tier talent that of like the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Clemsons, and all of that. So that's awesome to hear. Now for recruiting visits. Once a player locks in his top 5, you will be able to bring him in on a visit, and you will once again be able to design a recruit's visit to show him the things that matter to him or the things that you're not highly regarded in. What game you will bring someone to also matters this year. With the game's outcome, win or loss, that's awesome. Being able to be like, hey, come check out this game, and then he'll actually be able to watch the game, and then based on your guys' game, might impact how he feels about it. So that's just awesome. So impacting how he feels or how well the visit goes. For example, if you bring a recruiter to a game against #2 Ohio State, a win will move you a lot closer to signing him than if you bring him to a UL Monroe game and win, which is awesome. Like, hey, you come check us out against Ohio State. I'm telling you, we are ballers. Like, we're top in the country, and you could back it up by actually playing Ohio State and then beating them and then actually living up to your talk. So that's amazing. I'm super excited for that. That's just going to be adding so much more to the game. A win will move you a lot closer to signing him. Sorry, we were on that part. On the flip side, a loss to a highly ranked team won't hurt you as much, but losing to a lesser school will likely tank your chances with that recruit. So you can't be like talking all this big game like, hey, come check us out, we about to blow up UL Monroe, come check us out, and then all of a sudden you lose by 4 points, and you guys gonna be like, bruh, I'm gone. Y'all are weak. So that's just awesome. Just adds more depth to the game in specific areas that just we've never had before. So that's awesome. Complimentary and complete visits are also back, meaning bringing these 3 quarterbacks to the same game will not go over very well. On the flip side, if you bring a running back and an offensive lineman, you'll get a boost for that visit, which is awesome. Because just like the quarterback, I'm just blinking out his name, for Washington, who just got drafted to them, was like hella butthurt that he was getting other players. This trailer came out a few days ago. I would have liked to get this video. That he was getting other players in there at the same time. So that's awesome that that's in there. Transfer portal. The portal will open after the early signing period and will be a part of the off-season process. It's a shortened process compared to high school recruiting. The portal section is a tab that you can toggle to from running the recruit page using L1, R1. Service academies can use the portal, unlike in real life as Clemson, which Dabo Swinney will surely not like. You will have to manage your off-season recruiting hours for both the portal and the remainder of your high school recruiting. Like in real life, players you are close to landing in high school recruiting will remember that whenever they enter the portal, and you are likely to end up as one of their preferred destinations to the portal. So that's awesome. So if you're really getting close to recruiting a guy before, but they land with somebody else, they'll remember you in the future once they actually decide to go into the portal in the future, if they do, which is awesome. So it's not like your work is going for nothing. You can hold out that eventually once that guy, doesn't go to your school and he's like, hey, I made a mistake. Can I come your way? And then you'd be like, yeah, come on, I still need you. Or you'd be like, nah, you missed your shot. it's up to you, which is awesome. You can also encourage your own players to enter the portal to clear up your roster. So if you want to be like Deion Sanders and be like, hey buddy, you got to get out of here. Like you're not gonna make the cut. You're not good enough, and you can do that, which is awesome as well. They are bringing back to the off-season steep of trying to persuade players to not go to the NFL or go into the transfer portal with very low, moderate, high, very high chance of success, and stopping a guy from leaving your school, which is awesome. Just more things to do, worry about, to do. It's just like, like this is so exciting. So much better than what we've been having in Madden, where it's just the same old play your games kind of thing. Players will enter the portal based on a number of factors, most notably how you are doing and holding up your end of the bargain with their deal breakers. For example, if you land a recruit based off of playing time and you don't end up playing him as a freshman, he's most likely going to enter that transfer portal. Throughout the year, it'll let you know who's at risk for the portal, and it will be up to you whether you make the adjustments to try to keep those guys or continue on the same plan and just let the guy hit the portal, which is awesome. To be able to actually, it's not going to be like a surprise, like this guy is trying to dip on you. That's awesome. Let's see here. So for name and likeness, currently there is nothing like that in the Dynasty mode, and they have a pretty solid reason for that. When developing the game, name and likeness was done by the collective bargaining and wasn't legally something that coaches and the schools controlled. Beyond that, given how quickly things have changed with the NIL, they didn't want to put something in the game that was quickly outdated whenever they put it out there, because there's just so much change going on right now with it. So that point got enforced with the NCAA settlement to allow schools to pay players, and it came down to a few hours after their presentation. So in the future, name and likeness will likely make its way in once that's something schools do, but for the first year it will not be in, and the reason's pretty solid. Also, I was told not to expect there to be a way to commit financial crimes or any grimy stuff in the game. Even though that'd be cool, it is a rated E game. They're not changing that. Plus, the schools that they partner with would not allow that kind of element to be in the game, and it makes sense, honestly. But hey, that would be pretty sick. For player editing, one thing that was made clear is that you will be very limited with what you can do in terms of editing players compared to the old NCAA franchise, when you can make every player that was in the game. You can edit the guys on there to make them updated to the newest players. So like the overalls and the names and all that, you won't be able to touch those at all, because the players in this year's game are actually the guys that are on the rosters. So that's why you're not going to be able to make those kind of edits to them beyond the team builder mode. It's a small price to pay to have the game back with the actual players in it, but that's why I was saying, like, maybe there's that loophole you can do with the team builder, to where you can update, like you can put a new updated Alabama on there with the actual current players, if they're allowing you to like take a team out, kind of thing, you know. So for rivalry games, trophies, awards, rivalry games are in the game with the appropriate name at every level. For example, Georgia State, Georgia Southern is in the game as Modern Day Hate. If your rivalry game has a trophy, that trophy will be in the game, which is awesome to be able to have that level of detail still. You know, they were able to get that year one. That's awesome. But like I said, that trophy is in the game, and they probably did a motion capture session with the players celebrating with a wooden model of that trophy version. You'll be able to fill your trophy case and look to take down rival schools. Records are also back at the school conferences and at the national level, as there are many national awards your players can win. So that's awesome. You'll be able to actually see all the trophies that you're getting and all that. So that is sick. That's something I also wish was in Madden as well. And because of the name and likeness and stuff like that, in this game you're not going to be able to export draft classes. They said, I forgot to add this initially, but you will not be able to export draft classes to Madden, which sucks. That would be so sick, but it has to do once again with that licensing with the individual players. And the Madden game it goes down by the players' national bargaining agreement or whatever they have, so that you wouldn't be able to automatically put them in the game since they're real players and they don't have the licensing yet or at all. But like they were saying, that is because the players in this game are actual college football players, and the licensing deal for EA, CFB, and Madden are totally separate. The Madden deal is through the NFLPA, and the active players in college football would not have signed it at that point, like I was saying. This is one of the small prices to pay for the game, being back with real players, which, as we say, that's fine. People are already making rosters on Madden that have these real players in it. They can just do whatever overalls that they had in NCAA and then move them to Madden. It's pretty simple. If anything, it's going to make it even easier for the people who are uploading these draft classes to actually put those in the game. So honestly, I think it's not going to be a big deal. So takeaways. He said, my biggest takeaway from this presentation and talking with developers at EA was that Dynasty will be what fans have wanted it to be, which is awesome. Now, that doesn't mean it will have everything folks have wanted, and it will have some flaws to tweak going forward. But like I said, this is year 1 in the game, so you're going to expect that. And everything that we've heard so far has already blown my expectations of what I would have thought would have came out with an EA game, if we're all being completely honest. But after spending 11 years trying to figure out what modern Dynasty mode could be, I do believe they've created something that will be rather enjoyable. What they've done with recruiting looks very cool, and I guess there will be more to learn as we get closer to launch about how everything works, as we just got a high-level look at the process. One of the things I'm most interested in seeing is how long it takes to build a program in this game. It used to be you can turn around any program around into a contender in 2 years, they say, but hey, you could do it in 1 year by stacking up those teams that you play to be the top ranked. So in my opinion, I was able to do it in like a year, but they're saying 2 years. But what he was saying is, what I don't know is if it means it's now a 4-year job, a 7-year job to make that incremental climb to be a perennial title contender. I am excited to get in there and find out. It's truly going to be a process of building a program, not only having early issues in recruiting and the portal, but on the field where new gameplay changes make it very difficult to thrive with lesser players. We'll find out exactly how it works July 19th or July 16th if you pre-order it. But you can put the rest of any fears of Dynasty would be pushed around to the back burner, like unfortunately how it is in Madden with their franchise and everything like that. But let's go on to the next article and see how that's looking. Let's go ahead and check it out. For this next one, we're going to be talking about Road to Glory, another story mode a lot of people have been really hyped to see. So let's go over the basics and everything with Road to Glory and see how that's looking. So for the basics, one of the things that we're quick to note is that Road to Glory is a 10 to 20 hour story mode, meaning that it should only take obviously 10 to 20 hours of gameplay to complete. That's a pretty short amount of time for a career mode, but it's part of the uniqueness of a college football game where you can play 4 or 5 redshirt as a freshman if you want, and there's no COVID year in the video game obviously because that's kind of over now. As such, they wanted to make an extremely replayable mode where you can make different choices, have different outcomes through the experience. The structure will be pretty simple. You will be able to choose from one of the 5 positions similar to like Madden, how you can be a running back, wide receiver, middle linebacker, or cornerback. I think that's trash in my opinion. I would have loved to be able to be any position again. I would rather just have the old original Road to Glory that we had before, where you can pick any position at all and you play through high school and all that, but it's not going to be in this game unfortunately, and I think they'll probably end up talking about that as well in here. But I'll still break it down. It's still better than nothing, and this is what it's saying here. You will be able to also pick your archetype, which is position dependent and will determine your skill tree. You cannot max out the complete skill tree because it is no longer a matter of accruing points and putting them elsewhere, but instead it's all about building up the areas that you have pre-selected whenever you pick your position. No longer will you start off in high school, instead picking your level as a recruit at the beginning to determine how hard your grind is going to be. So at least you kind of got that. If you want to try to role play in kind of terms of that, they're allowing that. So you could pick as a 5-star, which would give you a 79 overall, a 4-star, which is a 75, 3-star, a 70, and a 2-star, a 65. It's kind of similar about how Madden had it before, where you could pick like what round you were drafted in the past, and that would impact your overall. So it didn't work out that great in Madden, so I don't know why they chose to go this route in NCAA, but hey, maybe it'll feel different when we're actually playing it. But if you choose to be a 2-star, you'll really spend a lot of time in practice before you get to go onto the field. If you're a 5-star, you'll still have to win a position battle before you can get onto the field. But you'll have to do like a position battle to get to that starting spot from there. You will pick things that are most important to you among the 14 pitch grades each school has, and you'll be able to get offers based on your star level, what school aligns with what you deem most important, and all the things like that. Once you are in school, you will not have a dorm room like the old games, which sucks. I love the dorm room. I love seeing, like, based on what different college I was in, what like banners I had up on my dorm room, seeing the calendar and all that stuff where you can go into different activities. But unfortunately, that's not going to be in the game. But hopefully that could be added, but I haven't heard anything that they are looking to add it, but hopefully they will. It's more like a menu. Once you are in school, you will not have a dorm like the old games, but instead most of the game will be done out of the main screen, like I was saying, with different scenarios popping up on your phone throughout. You will manage your time each week and have to decide how to balance your schedule between the 5 areas of focus, which are academics, leadership, health, training, and your brand. How you choose to manage that time will determine everything from your eligibility play to whether you can get challenged for the starting job. Going too far in any direction means that you are neglecting one of those other 5 areas, and which does have its own consequences. On the other hand, it's not simply a matter of balancing everything out, because that too will mean leaving things on the table. The primary goal of the mode is to make you make decisions that are not clearly black and white as they explained it. The goal was to create ethical gray areas with various dynamic scenarios that will present themselves throughout the game. Even things that seem like a good choice might have a negative consequence, and vice versa. By doing so, they hope to make the story element rather than cutscenes where you're just clicking through the game, like skipping it like I do because I'm just trying to play. How they will do that? Well, let's dive into the 5 areas. For academics, when they announced you will have to maintain your GPA, many people laughed at the idea, taking tests in the game or whatever, and you're like, dang. That'd be funny, kind of similar to how they had that IQ test in Madden, like Madden 8 or whatever. That was actually low-key kind of fun though. But anyways, that is happily not the case, like he said. Instead, you'll simply have to allocate some of your hours to studying to try to keep that GPA up higher, because there will be tests on your schedule, and if you're not prepared, as indicated by the progress bar, you could fail and become academically ineligible to play. If that happens, you'll have to spend extra time with tutors, which will further set you back, and you'll lose hours that you could have had to put it on other things, and you'll have to put it towards your studying, which is something that is in the game. All the elements come with potential boosts to your skill tree and academic figure to boost your mental abilities on the field. You get 2 mental abilities and I believe 3 to 5 physical abilities. I believe is how it works. Leadership and position battles. Leadership is where you bank coaching trust points, which are how you get on the field. Allocating time here means getting into the film room and doing necessary football work that's not on-field drills to show your coach and teammates that you are committed. When you get enough coach trust and catch a teammate ahead of you on the depth chart, you'll trigger a position battle. The position battles brings back glorious returns of like mini games and stuff like that, where you'll have to beat the other player in a best 2 out of 3 against your teammate in that mini game in order to earn that spot. If you win, you will gain a big boost in the coaching trust. Like they said, they saw a plus 1,500 for a starting job, which solidifies you in that spot for at least a few weeks. If you lose, you only lose a bit, minus 100 in the scenario that they've seen, but your teammates will gain a bunch, and you will have to wait for another shot to keep piling up points to trigger another one. A key element of this is your computer teammates are also always earning coaching trust, so it's not just you, which is awesome. It actually feels like it's a whole world on its own, not just a world centered around you, which is something that games kind of struggle with sometimes in scenarios like this. But they if you start to struggle, they might catch you and force you into a position battle where you'll actually yourself have to defend it like they would on the other end, which is awesome. As a note, you will not be able to restart a position battle during it. That means if you lose one, you won't be able to do a do-over immediately. You'll have to wait until you trigger the next one, which is awesome. I do like that because I know I'm the type of person that if it's an option, I'll just like, yeah, I'll click restart. It's so hard not to, So I do like that they do make you actually win it, and if you don't win it, then you lost. So I do like that. There's probably ways around it, like turning your game off or whatever, but at least it's built in the game where they're making you go through that yourself. All right, so for the health category, this is where the wear and tear system comes into play. Throughout the season, you will occur wear and tear on different body parts depending on like where you get hit, like if you take a hit to your throwing arm or something like that. And when you get hit too much in one spot, you'll start to lose attributes for certain skills that are tied to those areas. You'll need to put some hours into recovery in order to stay healthy. That's one of those points that like you'll have to put towards like your health or whatever, your recovery, you know, stuff like that, which is cool. I like being able to have that extra element to try to pay attention to. You can't just like, you know, ignore it and then all of a sudden just be like thinking your guy's gonna be perfectly healthy, because that's not how it is in real life. You do gotta spend time recovering, getting your massages, all of that stuff like that. So that is true. That is something you're gonna have to do. You'll start to lose attributes for certain skills that are tied to those areas. When you start to get hit in those areas too much, you'll need to put some hours into recovery to stay healthy throughout the season, or you'll risk getting hurt, missing time, and potentially having that backup earn trust by playing well when he gets in when you're hurt and stuff like that. So it's really something that you got to take into consideration for sure. And I just think that's so awesome. And it does, like you said, play into that replayability when you want to play it in as a different career or whatever. For the training is practices on field work where you gain XP and can boost your ratings and skills. The more time that you spend there, the faster you'll see that overall rating rise. However, that could come at the expense of something else. And having a great overall won't necessarily help you earn the coach's trust on the field for academic reasons, injuries, or like I said, lack of coaching trust, things like that. Now, discussing the brand, this is the final piece of the NIL portion of Road to Glory. This is where you can sign brand deals to get fans, boost your following. Now, this might seem like the least important thing to put off. However, each brand will come with things that can help boost your following. So like having a deal with a cryptocurrency business that helps you heal faster, requiring fewer points that you have to spend on your health during certain section during the week. Dynamic scenarios throughout the game, you'll be presented with various options that you'll have to or pick what you want to do, with consequences that could be both positive or negative at the same time. For example, you might be asked to do something with teammates instead of study, and you might earn some of the coaching trust points in the leadership category, but that means that if you're underprepared for your upcoming test, your GPA might drop, and you could be in danger of becoming that academically ineligible. So this is one of those things that you really gotta weigh out, like, hey, should I do that? Should I not? Like, you gotta really make those decisions on your own. And it might seem like something that's a good thing, but in the end, it ends up hurting you, you know, and you're like, dang. But that's the things you gotta learn throughout the career. And something to notice, I'm curious, like, how replayable that is, because you're like, you did it the first time, and then you're like, all right, now I know not to do that. And that could play to the replayability, but it's just something that we gotta like play ourselves to see how it actually works out, or if it's just gonna feel like one of those things where you're just trying to skip through it. These will pop out throughout your career, and the goal is to force you into some choices that aren't obvious, and how you're balancing those 5 main areas needs to be at the top of your mind. So on game day, all the things you do during the week will impact you on the field on game day as well. Your mental and physical attributes will determine some in-game boosts, and the aforementioned brand deals. Your coaching trust will determine play calling options. And for QBs who have like a hot route audible, your health will also impact play calling. So like, let's say like you start getting banged up, your coach isn't going to call like RPOs and read options and stuff like that for you if you're a quarterback. They'll probably just do more shotgun plays or run plays to try to keep you from getting hit. And that can, you know, impact your stats and how you want to play as well. So that's why it's important. Redshirting, like in real life, you can redshirt a year. You have to play like 4 or fewer games in order to get that red shirt. You can purposely not earn coaching trust so that you can earn that red shirt if you want. That is a play style you could try to do, but you cannot demand to be a red shirt in your first year. You actually have to not win the position battles and stuff like that and only play less than 4 games. For the transfer portal will be available to you every offseason. Like in real life, you work with the recruiting, like how it did at the beginning, where you picked your first team. You'll get offers from teams that fit your preferences. He said, I really enjoyed that one example they showed us was a guy that really cares about academics, so his top priority was Vandy. And if you do this in a video game, God bless you, the coaching carousel will be also happening in the offseason. So your coach might have to leave, which could impact coaching trust when the next guy comes in. So that's also interesting and cool to know. And if you decide to leave and follow your coach, that's an option too, and that's going to be awesome. That's really cool. Now, chasing records and awards, there will be a robust record keeping system so that you can go after national conferences, school records in various categories. The same will be going for awards, conferences, and national levels, along with the conference and All-American teams. Like I was saying, and that's really awesome. So if you wanted your first year, you just want to break all the school records, if you're able to do that and then be like, all right, now I want to go break this school's records, like that's an option. You could totally do that, and that's awesome. Or if you want to stay at the same school and just keep busting out records so that like it's just up there so high that it just can't be beat, that's something that you can do as well. Just one of those things that adds to the many different things that you can do while playing that make the game feel so replayable, and that's what's so exciting. Now, exporting to Madden, something that will be exciting for fans that get to play both the college football game and Madden is that you will be able to export your Road to Glory player, at least. So you won't be able to export the draft classes, but for Road to Glory, you will still be able to move him onto Madden, that's when it feels so integrated and cool. So that at least is in the game. That means that you have the opportunity to go from, a low-level recruit to an NFL legend across the 2 games, and could totally spend 20 years with your Road to Glory player instead of just 4. So that was everything from this one here. So let's go on to the last one and take a look and see how that, worked out.
We're back, and we're going to be discussing the final part of this whole thing, which is the whole gameplay deep dive. So let's go ahead and take a look at the article that Madden had released here. So Campus IQ encompasses the overarching concept that was built, that has built the gameplay to be what it is today. With that said, college gameplay was built on these 3 fundamentals: the All 22 Plus, 134 Ways to Play, and Stories of Saturday. Let's take a look and see what that is. So the All 22 Plus highlights the importance of individual players and their unique abilities. It emphasizes the differentiation between the talent between the best player in the league and the worst player in the league, because like we know, the best player in Madden and then the worst player in Madden, or in the NFL I should say, is completely different. Yeah, one is clearly better, but the gap between the best player in a position in college compared to the worst player in that position in college is much bigger, and this is their way of they're trying to be able to show you the differences between that. So hopefully we can find out and see how that actually plays in game, and if it actually feels that big of a difference. Because in Madden, we know, like, if you got good speed, you could potentially be a dog. Like, that's how it is. And that's how it kind of has always been. Obviously, abilities and stuff like that obviously matter as well. But, like, to feel the difference in tier between the worst player and the best player, I'd love to see how they made their way to see if that works. But let's continue here. So 134 ways to play. From day one, our message was every team is somebody's favorite team. Properly representing offensive schemes for Air Force triple option to the air raid at USC was one of the utmost important to us. So, I mean, that's incredible. They were looking at like, hey, Akron's somebody's favorite team. Let's not mess this up and do something silly with it to where they don't have something, or like the Alabamas do. Like, just because, there ain't as many fans doesn't mean that we shouldn't acknowledge it and really try our best to make sure those fans are felt like this is their team and they can feel that pride and everything. So, I mean, if that's how it is, that's going to be awesome. Plus, just think about the difference, like just playing, all the time against different teams that actually feel like they're going to play different from the different play styles and everything like that. That's going to really help the gameplay and the replayability of the game. Not feeling like just the same old AI, like over and over again, just different levels of, hey, this team's a little bit better or this one's a little worse, but they actually be like, oh, this team is running this kind of plays a lot, or this team is trying to air me out. Like, that's not something in Madden that's really a thing. So that's gonna be awesome if that's plays out the way we're hoping it to be. And then it says here, the final pillar, Stories of Saturday, seeks to encapsulate the raw emotions of these student athletes as they perform under these intense pressures in hostile environments. A true freshman is going to respond completely different compared to like a senior player. So they really wanted to get this right. And so, like, let's say a freshman is on the field and they're playing in Alabama, one of the tough stadiums to play in. Like LSU, I think, is the hardest. And a freshman in that scenario is going to have a lot more trouble. Like let's say like the routes in Madden, how they get squiggly, it might be like super intense compared to like a senior who it might not mess with them as much. They know how to handle those situations. They've been there before. You'll actually be able to see the differences in that, and that's going to be awesome because you'll be able to like decide like, all right, do I want to go with the freshman? I think he has more potential and whatnot, but in those situations, he's not going to be as ready as the guy who's been there, done that, and he might not have as high of potential, but hey, he's a senior year, he's going to be leaving, and he might be the best for right now. And that's going to be really awesome to see if it actually plays out like that. And they say bringing all of these together would ultimately have us landing arguably the most important aspect of college football, which is the wide open gameplay. From the start of our primary objectives was to encapsulate the authenticity of wide open gameplay of college football. We studied and tried to recreate the explosiveness of current and former college football legends. The result is a game that allows you to not only play north and south, but also east and west, thus unlocking a whole new level of excitement to the game. However, we didn't stop there. We introduced all new specific run styles for different archetypes in College Football 25. This provides a more in-depth and personalized gaming experience, allowing players to mimic the styles of their favorite athletes or create their own unique approach to the game. And that's sick. That sounds awesome. Being able to have the different rushing styles based on the archetype and all that, like that's going to be awesome. Like this is already sounding great. Now, this is one that some people might love, some people might hate. I think it's something that just adds more to the game and more to think about than before what we had. So I think this is awesome, and it's the wear and tear feature. Wear and tear is a feature that takes college football gridiron to an unprecedented level of realism. This feature ensures that every hit matters and not all hits are created equal. Wear and tear is a brand new and unique damage system that adds a whole new layer of depth and strategy to your gameplay and roster management. This is reflective of what we see on Saturdays. And so yeah, you know, like they said, not all hits are going to be different. Some of the bigger hits are going to have bigger impacts on certain body parts that they hit. If you're like, you know, hit stick in the legs or whatever, you might be able to impact that. And the way it might be impacting them might be like, you know, -5 in speed or something like that, depending on the body power or throwing power and stuff like that. And you'll have to actually decide whether or not you're gonna, you know, rotate that player for a different guy so you can get a little bit of rest and try to manage that wear and tear. But that's just, they're probably going to talk about it in here, but let's go ahead. Wear and tear is designed to simulate the real world effects of fatigue and damage on a player's performance. It operates on a play-to-play and game-to-game basis. If your quarterback has thrown the ball 40 plus times in a game and has taken several shots, don't expect him to be at 100% following week in Dynasty or Road to Glory. Subtle gameplay components such as getting the ball out early, covering the ball, and just getting out of bounds in general will be as important as ever. Wear and tear is for all 22 players on the field. And I think this is something that might be able to be turned off if you really hate it. So I'm sure they know people are going to get annoyed with it for people who just want to not have to think about that. So I'm sure that's going to be something as well. But having it in the game is what really matters. And I personally am going to keep it. I think that's going to be so fun. And it's going to really prioritize your depth on your team and not just make sure your top guys are just all you got, you know. So how does it work? Every limb and body part of a player is linked with unique attributes. For instance, if your quarterback's throwing arm receives a significant hit, you'll notice a decrease in your throw power and accuracy. Similarly, if damage to the legs will impact a player's change of direction, acceleration, making every movement feel slower. So that's really cool. Each body part degrades at different rates, and the player toughness and ratings can play a crucial role in how much damage is applied to a given hit. The more damage a body part is, the higher chance of the severity of the injury. So that's going to be awesome. I would also love if they have a lot more unique like animations for whenever people get hurt in certain areas instead of like the very few that it feels like we have in Madden. That'd be awesome. All right, this one's called Doc, I'm Hurt. Recovery is also a critical part of this feature. Players will regain health when they are not on the field, during timeouts, at halftime, between weeks. However, be cautious of your player's workload. The worse a body part is damaged, the slower it recovers. A player can only recover a limited amount of damage during a single game. This encourages strategic planning and management of players to ensure optimal performance. When it comes to management, outside of the quarterback and offensive line, teams will substitute around the fatigue of a certain player or a banged up body part. So if a player gets really banged up on a play, expect him to sit like a play or two. Later in the game, the expectation is that the player will have to tough it out, you know, because like it's the big time, it's at the end, like you're gonna have to tough it out. We're not gonna expect you to be still subbing in those key moments of the game. Where can I see it? So this is the menu here where you'll see the risk of injury. So for this guy, it's showing that it is increased. You have the 3 levels, so you have the slight, high, and severe. This one here is showing that Quinn Ewers had that high risk of injury. And then you can see the severe as we're down here. Player reticle. So left side of the wheel, left side wear and tear bars, right side is the fatigue. Note the bars depleting only represent the most hurt body part, so that the bars that you're going to see is only going to represent, like, let's say if the arm has been hit the most, it'll be showing that one. Depth chart. Here you can see a wear and tear panel on the bottom right of the player card, as well as an attribute. As well as the total in attribute is decreasing in the spreadsheet. There we go. So like if it's, like I said, if it's the -4 acceleration or something like that, you'll be able to see it on that menu as well. So coach vision. You hold the left trigger and RS down to see the wear and tear status of your entire team. We're back, and we're going to be discussing the final part of this whole thing, which is the whole gameplay deep dive. So let's go ahead and take a look at the article that Madden had released here. So Campus IQ encompasses the overarching concept that was built, that has built the gameplay to be what it is today. With that said, college gameplay was built on these 3 fundamentals: the All 22 Plus, 134 Ways to Play, and Stories of Saturday. Let's take a look and see what that is. So the All 22 Plus highlights the importance of individual players and their unique abilities. It emphasizes the differentiation between the talent between the best player in the league and the worst player in the league, because like we know, the best player in Madden and then the worst player in Madden, or in the NFL I should say, is completely different. Yeah, one is clearly better, but the gap between the best player in a position in college compared to the worst player in that position in college is much bigger. And this is their way of they're trying to be able to show you the differences between that. So hopefully we can find out and see how that actually plays in game, and if it actually feels that big of a difference. Because in Madden, we know, like, if you got good speed, you could potentially be a dog. Like, that's how it is. And that's how it's kind of always been. Obviously, abilities and stuff like that obviously matter as well. But, like, to feel the difference in tier between the worst player and the best player, I'd love to see how they made their way to see if that works. But let's continue here. So 134 ways to play. From day one, our message was every team is somebody's favorite team. Properly representing offensive schemes for Air Force triple option to the air raid at USC was one of the utmost important to us. So, I mean, that's incredible. They were looking at, like, hey, you know, Akron's somebody's favorite team. Let's not mess this up and do something silly with it to where they don't have something, or like the Alabamas do. Like, just because, you know, there ain't as many fans doesn't mean that we shouldn't acknowledge it and really try our best to make sure those fans are felt like this is their team and they can feel that pride and everything. So, I mean, if that's how it is, that's going to be awesome. Plus, just think about the difference, like just playing, you know, all the time against different teams that actually feel like they're going to play different from the different play styles and everything like that. That's going to really help the gameplay and the replayability of the game. Not feeling like just the same old AI, like over and over again, just different levels of, hey, this team's a little bit better or this one's a little worse, but they actually be like, oh, this team is running this kind of plays a lot, or this team is trying to air me out. Like, that's not something in Madden that's really a thing. So that's gonna be awesome if that's plays out the way we're hoping it to be. And then it says here, the final pillar, Stories of Saturday, seeks to encapsulate the raw emotions of these student athletes as they perform under these intense pressures in hostile environments. A true freshman is going to respond completely different compared to like a senior player. So they really wanted to get this right. And so like, let's say a freshman is on the field and they're playing in Alabama, one of the tough stadiums to play in, like LSU, I think is the hardest. And a freshman in that scenario is going to have a lot more trouble. Like let's say like the routes in Madden, how they get squiggly, it might be like super intense compared to like a senior who it might not mess with them as much. They know how to handle those situations. They've been there before. You'll actually be able to see the differences in that, and that's gonna be awesome because you'll be able to like decide like, all right, do I want to go with the freshman? I think he has more potential and whatnot, but in those situations he's not gonna be as ready as the guy who's been there, done that, and he might not have as high of potential, but he's his senior year, he's gonna be leaving, and he might be the best for right now, and that's gonna be really awesome to see if it actually plays out like that. And they say bringing all of these together would ultimately have us landing arguably the most important aspect of college football, which is the wide open gameplay. From the start of our primary objectives was to encapsulate the authenticity of wide open gameplay of college football. We studied and tried to recreate the explosiveness of current and former college football legends. The result is a game that allows you to not only play north and south, but also east and west, thus unlocking a whole new level of excitement to the game. However, we didn't stop there. We introduced all new specific run styles for different archetypes in College Football 25. This provides a more in-depth and personalized gaming experience, allowing players to mimic the styles of their favorite athletes or create their own unique approach to the game. And that's sick. That sounds awesome. Being able to have the different rushing styles based on the archetype and all that, like that's going to be awesome. Like this is already sounding great. Now, this is one that some people might love, some people might hate. I think it's something that just adds more to the game and more to think about than before what we had. So I think this is awesome, and it's the wear and tear feature. Wear and tear is a feature that takes college football gridiron to an unprecedented level of realism. This feature ensures that every hit matters and not all hits are created equal. Wear and tear is a brand new and unique damage system that adds a whole new layer of depth and strategy to your gameplay and roster management. This is reflective of what we see on Saturdays. And so, yeah, you know, like they said, not all hits are going to be different. Some of the bigger hits are going to have bigger impacts on certain body parts that they hit. If you're like, you know, hit stick in the legs or whatever, you might be able to impact that. And the way it might be impacting them might be like, you know, -5 in speed or something like that, depending on the body power, or throwing power and stuff like that. And you'll have to actually decide whether or not you're gonna, you know, rotate that player for a different guy so you can get a little bit of rest and try to manage that wear and tear. But that's just, they're probably going to talk about it in here, but let's go ahead. Wear and tear is designed to simulate the real world effects of fatigue and damage on a player's performance. It operates on a play-to-play and game-to-game basis. If your quarterback has thrown the ball 40 plus times in a game and has taken several shots, don't expect him to be at 100% following week in Dynasty or Road to Glory. Subtle gameplay components such as getting the ball out early, covering the ball, and just getting out of bounds in general will be as important as ever. Wear and tear is for all 22 players on the field. And I think this is something that might be able to be turned off if you really hate it. So I'm sure they know people are going to get annoyed with it, for people who just want to not have to think about that. So I'm sure that's going to be something as well. But having it in the game is what really matters. And I personally am going to keep it. I think that's going to be so fun. And it's going to really prioritize your depth on your team and not just make sure your top guys are just all you got, you know. So how does it work? Every limb and body part of a player is linked with unique attributes. For instance, if your quarterback's throwing arm receives a significant hit, you'll notice a decrease in your throw power and accuracy. Similarly, if damage to the legs will impact a player's change of direction, acceleration, making every movement feel slower. So that's really cool. Each body part degrades at different rates, and the player toughness and ratings can play a crucial role in how much damage is applied to a given hit. The more damage a body part is, the higher chance of the severity of the injury. So that's going to be awesome. I would also love if they have a lot more unique like animations for whenever people get hurt in certain areas instead of like the very few that it feels like we have in Madden. That'd be awesome. All right, this one's called Doc, I'm Hurt. Recovery is also a critical part of this feature. Players will regain health when they are not on the field, during timeouts, at halftime, between weeks. However, be cautious of your player's workload. The worse a body part is damaged, the slower it recovers. A player can only recover a limited amount of damage during a single game. This encourages strategic planning and management of players to ensure optimal performance. When it comes to management, outside of the quarterback and offensive line, teams will substitute around the fatigue of a certain player or a banged up body part. So if a player gets really banged up on a play, expect him to sit like a play or two. Later in the game, the expectation is that the player will have to tough it out, you know, because like it's the big time, it's at the end, like you're gonna have to tough it out. We're not gonna expect you to be still subbing in those key moments of the game. Where can I see it? So this is the menu here where you'll see the risk of injury. So for this guy, it's showing that it is increased. You have the 3 levels, so you have the slight, high, and severe. This one here is showing that Quinn Ewers had that high risk of injury. And then you can see the severe as we're down here. Player reticle. So left side of the wheel, left side wear and tear bars, right side is the fatigue. Note the bars depleting only represent the most hurt body part, so that the bars that you're going to see is only going to represent, like, let's say if the arm has been hit the most, it'll be showing that one. Depth chart. Here you can see a wear and tear panel on the bottom right of the player card, as well as an attribute. As well as the total in attribute is decreasing in the spreadsheet. There we go. So like if it's, like I said, if it's the -4 acceleration or something like that, you'll be able to see it on that menu as well. Coach vision. So when you hold the left trigger and the right stick down to see the wear and tear status of your entire team, picture in picture in the play call menu, we've added a ton of wear and tear get up animations. After a player is banged up, you'll see a variety of animations for a given body part depending on the severity. See, that's what I was talking about, that I was hoping they'd add that in, so we got that confirmed there, so that's awesome. You can also manage your player's wear and tear on the Dynasty player card, so should be pretty easy to be able to do all of this as well. It's not going to be like you have to hit some crazy menu, like press pause and stuff like that just to remember it or anything like that. Changing the game. With these changes, wear and tear will add new depths to players' gameplay more than ever before. Up until now, aside from the risk of throwing an interception, of fumbling, what have been the impact of throwing the ball 40 to 50 times a game, now gameplay decisions come with physical consequences for virtual players, adding another layer of authenticity and balance to the game. It's not only about the immediate win anymore, now you have to consider long-term health and performance with your team. So that's what's awesome as well. Like, just like I said, just giving us more things to think about as we're actually playing the game, other than just blinded of like, this is, oh, just this one game is all that matters. It doesn't matter if I throw the ball 50 times. It doesn't matter if I run the ball 30 times and get, hit stick 14 times. Oh, I didn't get injured that play, so fine, I'm great. So that's what's cool. With the introduction of wear and tear, fatigue has been completely overhauled. Whereas wear and tear accounts for physical impacts, fatigue is primarily a conditioning feature designed to provide more of like a realistic snap counts as like to the college level. Because in college, you see them substituting way more than in the NFL. It's not like these are my starters and these guys are going to play every snap kind of thing, So it's something to pay attention on a drive-to-drive basis. Let's say a running back gets 3 consecutive carries for positive yards. You may notice them huffing and puffing on pre-play. On subsequent carry, they'll likely come out of the game. However, recovery has been changed to where it'll likely be like only for like a single play, so they can catch their breath and then get right back out there. So it's not like it's going to be too annoying where like you're going like 4, 5, 6 plays when you got this scrub coming in. It's more likely like you just just went to the sideline, get some water, to catch his breath for a second. The option game. The option game is a fundamental part of college football, and we've made a thorough effort to add authenticity, depth, and balance, the first thing we targeted was to make the mechanic mirror the real-life quarterback and running back exchange. In an actual game, the quarterback places the ball in the running back's belly and then he pulls the ball. This is to replicate the games in the A and or X button functioning like the pull keep. So instead of like whenever you're doing the option play in Madden, how it basically goes like, if you don't hand the ball off, the quarterback is like the primary guy. If you don't press anything, your quarterback's gonna run the ball. And now it's the opposite, which is like it is in real life, where the primary option is you're gonna hand the ball off and you take it. If you see like, oh, I don't like that, then the quarterback pulls it and he takes it himself. So that's actually how it's going to be in the game now, which it was kind of backwards in Madden for a while. So it's cool to see that they actually did change that. The changes to the pull mechanic simplifies your reads while also making RPOs much more usable. If you don't touch anything, the quarterback will simply hand the ball off to the running back in an RPO scenario. If you want to bail from the read and run, press A or X and you will hit the receiver. You can simply press that receiver's corresponding button to immediately throw. Looking to keep the ball with the quarterback on an RPO, the RPO dictates whether you can read, peek, or can't. We've made adjustments to differentiate the pitch strength. Now with a quick tap, we'll execute a pitch, while holding down L1 will result in a strong pitch. A quick tap for a swift pitch, useful in like tight spots. However, it might not hit the pitch back in stride, so it can affect like the speed and timing of the play. So holding down L1 for a strong pitch, suitable when there is an ample space between you and the approaching defender. It requires more time but offers like more precise accuracy and velocity, so you can get it out quicker. So the ball itself, gets the running back quicker. So fake pitching is back, activated by double tapping L1. So that's cool. You can do a fake pitch to try to fake out the guy and then take it yourself. New control around the quarterback will branch out of an option movement has been added as well. If you hold the right trigger or R2, when you're a couple yards past the line of scrimmage, you'll branch into a standard ball carrier movement. Use this whenever you got the edge and decide to take it to the crib when you're with the quarterback. So basically, to explain what that's trying to say right there is, back in like NCAA 14, if you were the quarterback and you took the snap, you didn't give it to the running back, your guy would be running like this for 40 yards, dude. It was so ugly. And it was, I'm glad that they're adding it to the wave where you can just hit the R2 button and you'll tuck the ball and run it like a regular player, because ain't nobody running down the field like this. We've also added a range of new animations, including a comprehensive set of pitch animations and pitch catches. We've also introduced new pitch out of tackle animations for this year's title, so that's gonna be sick. The defense has also seen some significant upgrades. New AI logic has been added for the read and pitch keys, including new read key animations. Read keys are now consider more realistic contexts when deciding to crash, stay home. For instance, they're more likely to stay home and play the quarterback when on the wide hash marks. Conversely, when the offense is close to the first down, they'll play the running back more. So just like more awareness in defense of how they would actually read the situation as a defense. Pitch keys now exhibit more varied behavior, with the ability to bluff whether they're going to be playing the quarterback or the running game. So you'll be able to bluff like which one the guy's going to be actually going after. So that's awesome as well. We've introduced new coach adjustments as well. Rather than just a single option defense, you can now instruct your read and pitch key separately on how you want to defend. These adjustments aim to offer more authentic and immersive gameplay option. So we hope you enjoy the new and improved option game. Football problems require football solutions. With the removal of the base alignment, we wanted to put time and effort into improving alignment, along with giving the players ability to disguise coverages now. This is the addition to the chess match that our core fans have been asking for, since Madden is more like a chess match in terms of like how you're setting up your defense, trying to confuse the offense, or vice versa with motions and stuff like that. Being able to now actually, more easily disguise whether or not you're blitzing or not, and what your formation is going to be really helpful as well. In play call, use the right stick while in formation view to command your secondary to position a range of cunningly designed looks. These can range from a high pressure cover 0 blitz to a backed off cover 4 look. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Before the snap, you also have the option to showcase a single high or a 2 high safety depending on the formation that you chose. Unleash your creativity with these options. Just like in real life, coaches to confuse opposing quarterbacks, both tread with caution. If a defensive back has a low composure, there is a risk he might mess up the disguise look, be out of position, and things like that. Just like in real life, if a player, they can make mistakes. It happens all the time. All right, moving on to this next part down here. In College Football 25, we are introducing 80 abilities, the majority of which are composed new to the game of the football gaming space. These abilities are purely situational boosts, and there are no guarantees. Abilities are categorized into 2 groups, physical and mental. Each of these groups is further divided into 4 tiers. There's bronze, there's silver, gold, and platinum. The most a player can have at any given time is 5 physical attributes and 3 mental abilities. Our aim is to provide players with increasing depth as they progress through these tiers. For instance, consider our new Grip Breaker ability under the physical category. This ability bolsters a defense capability of disengaging from a block. At the bronze and silver tiers, the ability is only applicable during run plays. However, at the gold and platinum levels, this applies to pass plays, with its effects significantly amplified. So that's awesome. It reminds me more of like 2K, how they have different levels of badges and stuff like that. It's not like you have this ability, so everybody with this ability plays exactly the same in these certain situations. There's a lot more, depth to it, which is like something they've been needing for a long time, if you're asking me. Another important note to make here is that ability players can have is solely determined by their archetype. Mental abilities, on the other hand, can be dictated by the position of the player. Right here, they're showing off Travis Hunter with his mental abilities. He has fan favorite, best friend, and clear-headed. And then he has the physical abilities of sure hands, 50-50, double dip, layout, and recoup. So that's awesome, being able to see it listed out like that. Alright, sorry about that. So while creating abilities, we kept gameplay balance at the forefront of our development. A perfect example of this is the new Pocket Shield ability. This progressively makes offensive linemen hold blocks better on standard pass plays. However, even at the platinum tier of this ability, it doesn't apply if the distance to the first down is more than 10 yards. So you'll still have to stay on schedule to reap the benefits. Lastly, it is possible for a lineman to lose even at the platinum tier. So it's not like a guaranteed 100%. If they have the platinum tier, then they're going to be clamps all day. It's not how it works in real life, but it will give them an increased chance of it. So like 80%, 70%, something like that. It's not guaranteed like other abilities have at Madden before. Though this will be expanded upon later in the upcoming Dynasty Deep Dive, we have introduced the coach abilities with gameplay effects. These abilities will have significant impacts on major features such as the confidence and composure, home field advantage, and play styles, just to name a few. Pre-snap recognition. Can you see everything at the line of scrimmage like an experienced senior? What about freshmen playing on the road in front of 100,000 screaming fans? We have introduced the new pre-snap recognition feature designed to bring a level of clarity to the line of scrimmage that reflects the experience level of the player controlling the game. So this is similar to what I was talking to you guys about earlier about the freshman coming in on the field compared to the senior and the kind of decisions you'll have to make to decide who you're going to play in those moments. For instance, a freshman player may not be able to identify who is coming to blitz or what the shell is at the line of scrimmage compared to what a seasoned senior would recognize. So that's also something I forgot to mention. A freshman will not be able to recognize the blitzes just like a senior has, who's been able to see these situations, been able to see these formations and stuff like that. So that's awesome. That's huge to me. Our new system also takes into account the player and coach abilities, home field advantage, and our new coverage shells, which they're going to talk about later, all of which impact what a player can see at the line of scrimmage. What ability do I need? The field general ability brings all of this together. Here's how it works. For the bronze tier, blitzes are highlighted, but only after the snap. This gives players a basic level of awareness, but requires them to react quickly. Silver tier, players can spot the blitzers before the snap, but only if they're close to the line of scrimmage, and only for a brief moment. This gives players a slight edge and allows them to plan their moves a bit more in foresight. And then for the gold tier, this unveils a coverage shell momentarily, giving players a glimpse of the other team's defensive strategy, so that's awesome. And then finally, the platinum tier allows players to see even disguised shells. That it is brief, but this is designed to ensure that the defensive player can still make strategic adjustments in response to the quarterback being able to see the plays. So just adds a little bit more of that balance to it, which is going to help with things feeling too overpowered or anything like that. And I think that's great. The pre-snap recognition feature allows new dimension to gameplay, rewarding players who can quickly analyze and adapt to the evolving game of the situation on the field. So this is like saying, like, when you're in that situation and it pops up who's going to be the blitzer and stuff like that, if you're able to quickly recognize, like, oh, this is the play, you hike it and you get your play out, or this is the play, let me do a quick adjustment before they can adjust, and then you can really take advantage of it like that. So you feel like you're really paid manning out there on the field, making your calls, making your adjustments, hitting the receivers, and I think that's going to be so awesome. So confidence and composure. In College Football 25, the game isn't only about who's the most skilled player on the field, but it also is about who can maintain their composure in high pressure situations, like we've been talking about a lot here. Confidence and composure is about moment to moment gameplay, reflecting on the real life ups and downs, just like we see of the student athletes on Saturdays. Players can get hot or cold depending on the outcome of each play. So if you throw like a couple interceptions, you're gonna see your guy's cold and he's gonna have some attributes drop down. Same thing when he's hot and he's, you got like 6-7 passes hitting and you're on fire. Like it's actually gonna feel like that. Your guy's gonna actually play a little bit better with that better confidence, just like in real life as well. Experience plays a critical role in confidence and composure. A freshman player will have more volatile swings compared to a seasoned senior. As the crowd level increases, the effects on players' confidence increases progressively. This emphasizes the importance of composure in the digital gridiron, making it a crucial factor to consider for every play and every game. No different than what we see on Saturdays with a young starter, it is important to control the game and keep those chains moving. So just like I said, just adds way more to the game than we ever had before, taking so many other things into consideration. It's just amazing. In the heated atmosphere of rivalry games like The Game, the stakes of maintaining composure are even higher. Events such as scoring touchdowns can lift the morale of your entire team, while individual achievements such as a pass breakup can significantly boost the composure of the player who actually made the play. So that's awesome as well. It's important to note that the composure is highly individualized, driven by a player's archetype. For instance, when your player starts to cook, a scrambling quarterback will have improved like ball security, while a field general will benefit with improved accuracy. Additionally, players have a unique mental abilities that can influence their composure. These abilities can affect their teammates for that given position group. Consider the Legion ability, which increases the confidence of other defensive backs when that player gets an interception. Take note, these mental abilities are lost anytime a player does go cold, making the management of confidence and composure even more essential, I meant to say. I will leave the heavy details in the Dynasty blog, but your coach abilities also play an important role in the composure. The effects are similar and remind me of when USC, led by a true freshman quarterback, went into the Horseshoe and beat Ohio State in 2009. So now going into the coach vision more. This is real-time pre-snap information system designed to quickly provide you with detailed overview of the features when holding the left trigger or L2. Wear and tear, this calls out the most damaged part of the body. Composure and Confidence. Our dual-sided bar system provides a real-time insight into your player's performance. A red bar suggests your player is starting to cook, while a blue bar indicates that he's getting cold. If a red flame icon or a blue snowflake appears, it signifies that your player has reached their maximum in their respective area. Kind of like in 2K, if you played that, how they got you can go cold, you can be hot, and stuff like that. Abilities. This highlights a player's ability on both sides of the ball. Matchups. While the idea of showing matchups is not new, we have reworked the formula to make it easily accessible and straightforward to you. This is now color-coded for ease of understanding, green for favorable matchups, yellow for an even one, and red for a disadvantage. This system enables you to quickly assess the situation and adjust your game plan accordingly. So for the home field advantage, you will have this meter here that you'll be able to see, being able to see the crowd noise and the impact on your game there. So winning a football game at the Division I level is tough. Winning on the road is even tougher. Every Saturday, we witness the significant impact that home field advantages plays in determining the game's outcome. On Virtual Gridiron, the EA Sports College Football 25, that will be no different. Firstly, we aim to pay off and differentiate the top environments in college football. This differentiation involved two core elements: audio in the game modifiers. Modifiers are effects that disrupt your gameplay both pre and post snap. For instance, you might experience squiggly lines, play art appearing incorrectly, audibles and hot routes failing to register at high rates, or receiver icons fading in and out during a crucial moment in the game. So similar to like in Madden, whenever you have the squiggly lines like I was talking about, or like you get that question mark on your player, and if you weren't paying attention and you don't recognize where that player would be on the button on your controller, you can have some of those instances where it can mess you up like that, and just some stuff like that. Next, we consider the crucial elements of confidence and composure and player experience. As noted above in the confidence composure section, we wanted to ensure these elements were factored into how much the hostile environments impact you, both pre and post snap. This allows for a more immersive experience and adds another layer of strategy to the gameplay, which with the limited ability to communicate on the field, the initial correct play call will be as important as ever. So like, I know for me, sometimes I'll just call a play and I'll make my audibles from there. And if you're in those situations where you got the loud stadium, like, it's gonna be way more tough than that, and you're gonna make more mistakes where you're like, dang it, like I should have made sure I picked the correct call where I didn't have to make those adjustments, because that's gonna really mess you up, and that's where it's gonna come into account with stuff like this. So next, we consider the crucial elements of confidence, composure, and player experience. As noted above in the confidence and composure section, we wanted to ensure that these elements were factored into how much the hostile environments impacted you, both pre and post snap. This allows for a more immersive experience and adds another layer of strategy to the gameplay. With the limited ability to communicate on the field, the initial correct play call will be as important as ever. In addition, we wanted to pay homage to the classic 06 versions of the game by reintroducing a similar screen shake stadium pulse meter, allowing you to tell the crowd to get louder or flick the stick down to try to tell them to get quieter. I remember that back in playing back in the day as well. That was kind of cool. And whenever you were away and you tried to do that, they just like get louder. That was so fun. It is also important to note that the home field advantage only impacts the visiting team. Like in real life, this feature entirely situational based. Staying within the manageable down and distance is vital to successfully moving the ball down the field. As the game situation gets tougher, the crowd noise intensifies. The louder the crowd gets, the higher the modifier and composure hits. This is designed to accurately reflect real-life dynamics of playing in a hostile environment and further adds to the immersive gaming experience. So this is what it's showing, like what it could look like here. Whenever the stadium is rocking, you got the screen shaking, you got players, you don't remember what damn button they are. You try to do the play call, it's all squiggly, and it gets annoying. It gets tough. So if you don't remember exactly what you called, it's gonna be tough, especially like if you're trying to hot route, the players can't hear you. It creates confusion and just really adds to the experience of like really winning that great home field advantage. So it's really awesome. So for the pre-play controls, this year before each snap, you'll notice several enhancements designed to amplify the strategic gameplay. All players will have access to 12 unique routes. For instance, the new the Bang 8 route has been incorporated to the outside wide receiver tree. This entire route tree is readily available for all quarterbacks with a needed ability. So you have certain buttons that you can press in combination to bring up different routes and stuff like that. So you have way more routes. So gone is the day where you have 5 routes that a specific player can have, and you have to have an ability to add 4 more routes, because I was never trying to waste an ability spot just to get more routes. It was just like, I didn't think it was worth it. So this is going to give every player on the field all the routes, so you can really adjust how you want to do things. So that's going to be awesome. Defensively, the risk factor associated with the run command has been toned down as well. Traditionally, the risk conceding a touchdown and the offense opted for a pass, with the reward potentially being a tackle for a loss. Now this mechanic only affects the defenders positioned in the actual box. So that's going to be awesome. So whenever you're guessing run or whatever, it's not going to make everybody in the defensive backfield crash like they're doing a damn, everybody is all blitzing. Lastly, we introduced the custom stems, a new feature that allows you to adjust the distance of a receiver's route while holding and pressing down L1 to start adjusting. Move the left stick to modify the distance by a single yard, or the D-pad to accelerate in 5-yard increments. You can see the route updated in real time. Simply release the L1 to confirm your settings. This is awesome. So what it's saying is you're actually able to adjust the actual length of any route. So let's say you're, 3rd and 12, and you had a curl route that's normally, like 10 yards. And on that play, you're like, dang, he's gonna have to break the tackle in order to get it, or I gotta change it to a streak and hope he gets open like that. But now you can actually modify any route to where you can make it go, curl at 13 yards or whatever like that. So that's amazing. Something that has been needed for a long time, and having it in the game is it's a game changer about how you're able to call plays now and not have to only be limited to a few certain play calls where this is the only kind of play I can do to actually get that kind of yardage. So revamp passing. Quarterbacks with the iconic position in football. Our main objective in the pass game was to hone the art of layering the football. This includes everything from dropping the ball in the bucket to your tight end, between the linebackers and free safety, to throwing a bullet on the 12-yard dig route. These new trajectory changes really allow you to throw the receiver open more. And this is something I've been hearing has been a big game changer. They're you're really able to just loft it deep up in the air and really drop it in the bucket. And compared to before, where it's you hit you tap it and you're like, kind of was, it just maybe was a little slower. I don't know about the trajectory, if that was completely right. But now, from what I'm hearing, it's amazing now, which is awesome. To accomplish this, we increased the variance of left stick pass and lead intent, changed our inaccuracy mislocations, and overhauled our passing trajectories. The biggest change you will feel immediately is how we evolved the concept of throw power. Now, throw power doesn't simply refer to how far you can throw it, but how hard you can throw it. You often hear color commentators discussing a quarterback's arm strength in the context of a 10 to 15 yard bullet pass. Basically, when you see Anthony Richardson, Josh Allen slinging the ball and it just zips by people. That's how arm strength really mostly helps in the NFL, not just the being able to throw it 80 yards down the field pretty much. Obviously, that has an impact as well, but actually the throw power actually has more of an impact on how it actually affects the game in real football. While these enhancements are exciting, it's important to maintain balance. For years, players have been able to hold a bullet pass with little to no consequence. However, in this new system, the distance of the throw and the quarterback's abilities will affect the accuracy of a bullet pass, potentially resulting in accuracy penalties. So you won't be able to just hold, circle every time. I think I might do that sometimes. And you'll actually get some penalties if you just get too honed in on just throwing the same kind of pass. You'll actually have to take in consideration where the receiver is, how far they are, stuff like that. At the start of a pass, you will notice 3 colors: blue, yellow, and red. The sizes of these sections depend on your quarterback's attributes, abilities, and the throw distance, and other factors that would impact accuracy, such as being pressured, running on the back foot, throwing on the run, stuff like that. Landing in the blue increases the chances of a safe, accurate ball, while landing in the yellow could mean it could be iffy. The longer you stay in the red, the greater the penalty. Keep in mind that not all red sections are equal. Quarterbacks with weaker arms or low accuracy ratings will have a larger red section, no different from real life. Trying to push the ball down the field consistently with a quarterback with a weak arm is not a great move. So you shouldn't be doing this if you got Gardner Minshew back there. You know, like he's in the short game and stuff like that compared to Aaron Rodgers, who could sling that thing, you know. This new and improved mechanic adds engaging dimension to the game, distinguishing the digital signal callers in a unique way. We have made significant enhancements to the pump fake mechanic. Now when you're playing with a pass meter, the meter will appear over the receiver you are doing a pump fake to. It's no longer necessary for receivers to execute a double move for defenders to actually react to the pump fake. In terms of the angle they take, the duration of their reaction and more, these improvements and other layers add to the game as well. So like not only is the pump fake only going to be working in the moments where they are doing the double fakes, you can do it on a slant route and stuff like that to actually make the defenders bite like it would in real life. So more things that it's like, it really feels like if it's in the game, it's in the game. And we haven't said that in so long. Now introducing the switch stick. So basically for the switch stick, just to break this down here, if you are locked on as a defender over here and you see that this guy's got burnt over here, and you know your user AIs are some butt cheeks and you're not going to be able to have them, you know, make the correct adjustments. So you would flick your stick in that direction to pop you over to this defender immediately so you can make that play yourself. That in a nutshell is what we're working with here, and it is really going to help the way you can really manage the whole field on defense when you're just playing by yourself. So that's what's really going to be awesome. So we don't really need to discuss that too much. That's really the best way to explain it. So now we're on to the playbooks and team style. So there's over 1,500 new plays, more than 50 formations, along with 134 different playbooks that have been created to reflect current offensive and defensive trends in sports. In addition to the team playbooks, College Football 25 also includes 10 non-team playbooks. These are based on a variety of play styles such as like the air raid, multiple pistol, power spread, option, pro read, shoot, spread option, and veer shoot. All those different things. So if you don't want to actually run one of those specific teams playbooks and you're like, hey, I just know I like running a read option style offense, they have an offensive playbook that is, you know, under that section. Staying true to the theme of player control, a brand new type of trick play will debut, the DIY reverse. In these plays, you will decide whether to hand the ball off to a teammate using L1 or keep the ball and run. This introduces exciting plays like the halfback direct DIY reverse, designed to keep the defense on their toes. The game action picks up with the addition of trick plays, including the double pass reverse, the reverse pass, reverse flea flicker. A note to consider is that when running any given trick play, the defense will adapt to making those play calls a much riskier proposition. Obviously, like in real life, it's not really a trick play if you run it all the time. So if you run it all the time, they're going to catch on to that and they'll make you pay for it. A new glance RPO play type has been added, giving players the ability to read a safety to the side of the glance route, which is a short pass. This year's game is filled with RPO plays like colleges. So consequently, we recognize the need to enhance the defense's abilities to counter them. Even though like the college game is all offense, like basically feels like, you still have to have some kind of ways to counteract that. So in a majority of the defense alignments, defenders who are positioned away from the run action play will prioritize like pass responsibilities. So if they know they're not going to be anywhere near stopping the run play, if it was going to the left, they're going to be prioritizing stopping a pass just in case it is a pass. Additionally, defenders have been designed to be more aggressive in fending off blocks and incoming receivers. On top of that, run fit defenders are now capable of responding to the run action play more rapidly, enabling them to come downhill and make the stop. So if you got people who are actually, you know, prioritize and are great at stopping the run, they will be able to react to the run play more effectively than a, you know, pass coverage linebacker. When it comes to attention to detail, we didn't stop there. You will see the popular wide formation splits from teams such as Oklahoma and Tennessee, which are spread out further than traditional formats. a characteristic of the veer and shoot play style. So as you can see here, you have the receivers a lot more widespread than you would normally have them. The flex bone option offense is also introduced, featuring base play styles such as the triple option, midline, rocket toss, counter option, and the zone dive. On defensive side of the ball, the playbooks assigned to the teams include 3-2-6, a 3-4, a 3-4 multiple, and you see all the other types. So tempo game. In order to replicate the quick-paced nature of college football, we have introduced several modifications prior to the snap. These include the no huddle and a new turbo tempo type, both aiming to speed up the game. In the no huddle tempo, players will rush back to the line, offering a traditional tempo to the Y button or triangle. Although there is no huddle, audibles plays within your personal group are still possible. So it's like if you really want to run that Chip Kelly type offense where you're just like high paced all the time, you can do that to try to gain an advantage by tiring out the defense. While you do that, you won't be able to make like audibles and stuff like that to try to take advantage of that. But obviously there's a risk reward with everything. So meanwhile, the turbo tempo encapsulates a rapid rush to the line style of play. Think back to the blur offense days at Oregon. You are essentially trading the ability to hot route and audible at the line of scrimmage for the advantage of the defense not being set at their defensive line and being slower to the ball. That's what I was talking about earlier. So it says, take note that in order for this to be effective, you need to snap the ball within the early stages of the playbook. If you want to define this as your play style, you can turn this on in your coaching adjustment setting, which is awesome. So if you really do want to run that, you can just automatically set it so you don't have to be holding Y all the time. So with these new controls and spike function has been incorporated into the turbo tempo, all teams exhibit distinctive identities in their tempo usage. Teams like Oklahoma, for instance, adopt an up-tempo strategy for most of the game, possibly calling a shot play after securing the first down in certain areas of the field at a fast pace. Conversely, teams like Michigan may only resort to this following a significant play to jumpstart the offense whenever they're losing. So it just adds more to the different teams you're playing and the different play styles. Like, this is just amazing. They really wanted to make it feel like it's completely different, and that's just really what they're doing. I think we're really going to feel it. I'm excited for it. So in relation to clock management, the AI decision-making regarding timeout usage has also undergone a substantial revision to be more accurately mirror the strategic decision-making of like real-life coaches, which is awesome again. Both players and the AI can now initiate a spike from any alignment, therefore conserving crucial seconds. So no more do you have to hit that right button in certain plays and have to be run up in that same formation before you can hit the spike. Like, you can do it from any formation now, which that's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't even know we needed that, but I hear that and I'm like, dang, of course we needed that. In situations where players on the AI are about to audible, players will glance towards the sideline looking at the play call holders on both offense and defense. If the defense is caught looking to the sideline, they will be slower to get off the ball. That is sick. That is awesome. Just more realism to the game. Like, they really putting in work on this. So real-time coaching. Making its debut this year, the real-time coaching feature is an adaptive coaching engine designed to authentically enhance both the offense and defensive computer gameplay. In this engine, coaching aggressiveness positions a unique adaptive adjustments feature. This means that different coaches will react and adapt to differently to successful runs or pass games, thus creating a more authentic, dynamic, and unpredictable game environment. That is sick! Like, come on! Like, really gonna feel like we're playing different teams and actual different coaches who have different play styles, who look at the game differently, because everybody can watch the same play and then get a different response to it. Like, oh damn, that was great, now's the time, let's throw it deep. Or, oh, that was great, let's keep running, it's working. Everybody's different, and this is gonna really help with that. And this is just gonna make the replayability of football so much better. Additionally, the AI has access to a full range of adjustments just like a human player would. As a result, you can expect to see teams employ an array of adjustments such as shade techniques, showing the blitz, run commits, QB contains, and spies, just to name a few adjustments. The AI will also recognize and adapt to your offensive personnel. For instance, if you're dominating a team with the inside zone out of an 11 personnel, you'll notice the computer tweaking their defensive line, providing different look to potentially alter your play call. If you're having a significant success on the run, you may find the teams load in the box more than other teams. So this is just perfect. Like, they're actually, the AI is using its brain. I know that's crazy to say because they obviously ain't got no brain, but this actually feels like you're playing somebody, and that's awesome. It's gonna make the offline plays feel so much better. Furthermore, the AI is designed to be aware of your player's ratings and abilities. If you have an elite wide receiver, some teams might double him from the jump or match him with their top corner. This is amazing. Let's go. I've been asking for this. This is an example of their best on matchup strategy enabled by RTC. The defensive AI is also capable of disguising coverages, adding another layer of challenge to the gameplay. Situational adjustments are another key feature of this new engine. Despite being in its first year, this engine significantly enhances pre-snap adjustments. Chess matches, for example, in scenarios where you're inside of the 10 with man coverage, expect to see more press and inside shade techniques, forcing the ball out and over the top of the defense. And this is awesome. So I don't have this confirmed, but this makes me think, like, let's say a team, if you're playing on like All Madden, whatever that would be in the college football, the AI would do more adjustments. They would be more keen to like hiding their defense and playing the things in the right situations like that, compared to if you're on a lower difficulty. They probably wouldn't do it as much and they wouldn't react to what you're doing as much. That would be a good way to try to make gameplay more difficult without making it unrealistic, by just making it more like you're playing a real coach who's going to make adjustments to what the kind of things that you're doing. And I think that's awesome. Alright, so another example of situational adjustments is when the opposition is leading by 3 scores late in the game. In this case, you'll notice them keeping the ball inside and tackling conservatively to avoid the clock ticking. In conclusion, this is just the first year of the implementation of this foundational feature. The groundwork for the ultimate strategic experience has been laid, and we can't wait to see where it goes from here. Like, this is just the beginning, all of this, and this is just the first step. Like, this is amazing. This just gives me such high hopes for where this game could go. So, moving on in the trenches. All of the features mentioned above are great, but we know that championships are won in the trenches. If your offensive line can't hold up, nothing else matters. This year, our primary emphasis up front was showing what true game wreckers look and feel like inside. This is more to the game than just sacking the quarterback. Great defensive linemen can dominate inside just by using their size and strength as an advantage to create constant pressure and manipulating the pocket. A new pass protection mechanic has been added, which provides 6 protection targeting schemes. These schemes allow players to have increased control over matchups. Though user interface matchup lines, players can now see who's targeting who, and indicators will show unblocked defenders. So no more guessing, like, all right, I have enough blockers over here, but as long as this left guard actually goes and hits the linebacker, I should be good. But now you'll actually be able to see, like, okay, he's for sure, that's his target. He's going for the linebacker, and that's awesome. That is just great. So to maintain the flow of momentum and blocking interactions, 400 animations have been added. These animations not only cover open field blocking, but also extend to pass blocking and run blocking, point of attack engagements. This helps deliver an aggressive and powerful experience, the tendencies akin to what is played on real life on Saturdays. The pass rush and run stopping power of the defense has also been added a significant upgrade. The ability for pass rushers to make more pass rush moves and more often has been increased. The improvement is backed with new animations. Similarly, defenders now have an increased ability to play more shed moves in the run game, also supported with new animations. These upgrades aim to enhance the activity in the trenches, making it more lifelike and not as robotic and just who knows what's going on down there, you know. Another key focus of development was the targeting system for the fundamental blocking schemes, such as the inside and outside zones. The aim here is to increase the user's ability to predict the outcome of targeting and to be confident that defenders who need to get picked up will actually get targeted. That's what I was saying before. So now when we're talking about playing and weather conditions, throwing or handling a wet football is challenging, and we have introduced several changes to the gameplay that make experience more immersive and realistically difficult. The weather now actually plays a significant role in influencing the outcome of a game, and the effects are far from subtle. So no more like in Madden, it's a rain game and they give you a situation. Hey, are you gonna run it? You're gonna pass it? You're like, oh, I'm just gonna pass it because that's what I'm good at. And you can do that, but it's actually gonna be challenging. So let's first touch on player movement. Harsh weather conditions affect the movement of your players. It's challenging to plant and cut in these conditions, and this will be the first thing you feel. So it's not just like an occasional slip on certain routes like in before, like it actually is majority of like the movements and stuff will be affected. Also, the passing game feels considerable impact when playing under harsh weather conditions. Players will notice wobbly passes impacted passing accuracy and throw power are some of the other gameplay elements affected by the weather. The chances of increased drops and fumbles also rise in this kind of weather, which only makes sense. That's how it is in real life. Why was it not like this before? Never know. Madden, it's just like, come on, man. But anyways, the aspect means that players will have to be extra cautious when handling the ball using the R1 button to cover the ball. This not only is a one-way street, the weather also makes a base wrap and dive tackling a bit more challenging as well. Lastly, weather impacts special teams. You will feel this how it hits your kick power and accuracy as well. Kicking the ball in heavy rain or snow will obviously drastically make its trajectory and distance a lot more difficult, which like in real life, whenever you have these kickers making these crazy kicks in like the snow and in the rain, people are all actually like, hey, that's a big deal. That's awesome. When in Madden, it had zero impact at all, but now it actually will, and that's amazing. You may have noticed in the trailer, but just in case you didn't, new 1-foot sideline catch animations have been added. You can access these using the possession catch near the sideline. New walk the line animations have been added. Now all players on each side of the ball will walk the line following a play call. The timing of when you can snap still should feel quick while giving the opposing team time for adjustments. So it's back. You have a huddle. Your guys actually run to the line. It's not just like you just put blinders up and all of a sudden, boop, hey, we're at the line. And 20 seconds just runs off the clock. It's not like that no more. It's back to how it should be, which is awesome. So defensive pursuit has been refreshed in college to represent a wide range of players' abilities in real life to track the ball carrier in space. A player's pursuit rating is a key in this aspect. So if a player has a great rating in pursuit, he'll be able to take those lines way better than someone who just clueless in terms of pursuit. And that's awesome because that's a real thing. Some players they don't know how to make their angles. And some people are just amazing at it. So Playmaker, a fan favorite, the Playmaker mechanic has been revamped for increased responsiveness and control. Play action. When the play action is called in run situations such as first down or less than 3 yards on the first down, the effects on run fit defenders are now amplified. So play action is back. It's going to really feel like doing play action in certain situations where the defense would think like, oh, this could be a run right here, will actually matter a lot more, and that's amazing. And they have the new kicking meter right here, so if you want to see what that looks like here, this is the new kicking meter. It's definitely going to be a bit of adjustment, and it's quite fast compared to before depending on your accuracy. Whether the kick was wide right in 91 or a chip shot is down the middle to win the 2010 National Championship, the kicker in college football plays a vital role that is often overlooked in the game whenever it's until it's actually on the line. So this year, this role is given the love it deserves with the introduction of a new intuitive kicking mechanic that truly refreshes the kicking game. And it's going to be a little bit difficult for some players. Some players are going to find it probably a little annoying until they get the hang of it, because it is definitely tougher. So the distance of the kick along with the kicker's ratings decide the green and yellow regions of the meter as it sways back and forth. It also will impact like the speed of it as well. It adds an element of strategy to your game as you will consider your kicker's ability before attempting these big kicks. The speed of the ball moving side to side on the accuracy meter is also based on the distance of the kick. Simply, the further the kick, the faster the ball moves. Again, increasing the level of difficulty for long range attempts. As the ball is moving to the side, your goal is to lock the ball into the green portion of the meter by pressing A or X. Once that is locked in, you'll see the power meter fill up on the actual arrow. To achieve the maximum power, you'll need to release at the top, right before the red part of the meter. And timing is key, and the excitement of nailing the perfect kick is a thrill that is hard to match. If you miss to the right of the middle of the accuracy bar, the ball will veer to the right, and vice versa if you miss to the left. This mechanic makes accuracy just as important as ever, reflecting the real-life pressures that a kicker actually faced. Lastly, hitting the red represents our overkick. This could result in a variety of outcomes in terms of inaccuracies, making it a risky move. An overkick could potentially give you the distance you need, but at the potential cost of missing the goal altogether. We wanted to, and now for the swag out here, we wanted to put, all right, to wrap it up here, we're ending up with the final two things, which is lastly, talking about the celebrations. There's going to be a variety of 20 different celebrations, 4 interception celebrations, and 4 first down celebrations. The way you'll do that is you'll be able to move the right stick up, down, left, right, but also you'll be able to hold down the left or L1, and then you'll have 4 different ones. You do L2, have 4 different ones, R1 and R2, the same thing as well. As they say here, this system allows you to swag out, get pumped out, or taunt the crowd your way. With this feature, you can do everything from striking iconic Heisman pose to taunting the opposing crowd with your ear to your head. They ensured that the celebrations are all within range that you would see on Saturdays. Nothing too over the top, keeping in the true spirit of the college football. So, in wrapping up here, so with the victory formation, it says a pivotal run on 3rd or 4th and short, the opposing team is out of timeouts, and our running back gets just enough to steal the game. As long as football has existed, after the game-clinching moment, and you've had to sit under center for 30+ seconds just to take 3 consecutive kneel downs, well, I'm happy to say those days are over. This year, as soon as the game is mathematically over following kneel downs, not only does this feel like Saturday, but it'll also get you right back into the next game. So as soon as you start kneeling the ball, it's automatically going to start ending the game if mathematically it's over, just to try to speed up the ending there. So that's everything here. Thank you guys so much. If you guys actually made it this far into the video, that's crazy. Thank you guys so much. If you liked it, please like the video. That's the best way to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we are right around the corner. If everybody who's watching this video just hit that subscribe button, we'd hit that today. All right, but thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.